I knew him when he was 7. Met him when he was 7. First impression of Eli was on. This little guy has a big mouth. If his heart is half as big as his mouth is, he's gonna be okay. That was the first impression.
I coached Eli from the time he's been in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Didn't coach him in JV, and then I coached him again when he got back to high school. So you can add it up a long time.
My first impression of Eli was he was always intense, very hard-nosed individual, worked really hard, just real enthusiastic about the game. Oh man, Eli was one of the best kids I've ever coached in my, going on 19 years. He just did everything. He's just a very coachable kid. Everything you want out of an athlete, that's what he, provided. He's just one of those kids that you just dream of having 11 other kids on that team.
And what was your first impression of him when you first saw him?
Who the hell is this mixed kid out there that's tearing up everybody? And then when he takes his helmet off, he's a white kid. I'm like, what? The hell is that white kid doing?
For a long time, but we started getting close about 2 years ago, probably.
Eli and I played football since like CFA, but like last couple years we've been getting real close.
What separates Eli from others is his willingness to win.
What was it like seeing him grow from Little League to high school?
Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I told Steph not to put my glasses on when I may cry. So. Amazing to watch a kid just be like a little snot-nosed crybaby to being a all-state receiver. Pretty good. Eli Marks, best trait as an athlete has to be his work ethic, because all season, Eli played basketball also. He's a three-sport athlete, and even if we had workouts for football, even if he had a game in basketball, he would still come work out for football. So work ethic, and that's hard to find in a high school student.
Ethic. He works harder to probably than anybody.
One of, if not the best athlete that I've ever met, and had the privilege to work with. Steve Shanks being probably the best, of course. Everybody knew Mister, but I got to put Eli right there. Matter of fact, it's probably his work ethic. His work ethic was phenomenal, even as a young buck. At 7 years old. 7 years old, his work ethic was already in place.
Describe Eli Marks in one word: reliable.
Fearless.
Intense, I guess I would say. His intensity would be the thing that jumps out at the most.
Stupid. He's fearless.
Easiest kid to ever coach. He set the standard. He set the standard. The one memory that stands out probably more than any other rest was it was the only time since I've been coaching that I never shook the opponent's hands. And it was like I said, the first year. I was 7 years old. Before our first playoff game, we're in the end zone at the radio station, warming up, and I get a phone call. My starting quarterback, Mr. Thompson, Malik Thompson, I'm gonna put him out there, quit. And we're talking 20 minutes, 25 minutes before kickoff, he quit. Eli is pretty much at my feet, warming up, stretching out and everything. He's hearing all this. So, what are we gonna do? Eli pipes up. I can do it. I kind of look at him like, hey, you sure? You know the plays? I know the plays, coach. Put him on, line up the offense, run some plays. Sure enough, he knows it. He knew. He played tight end for me anyway, but he, just being alert, paying attention to everything, he knew how to run the play. It wasn't a hard, it wasn't a hard offense to learn, but he knew how to play them. Again, I'm talking about a 7-year-old that never really took a snap from me, and he ran the show that night, and he played his ass off, to say the least. for a position that he had never been in. For me, I don't know what he did at, flag league or not, but he never played quarterback for me until that night. And you talk about baptism by fire. There was a moment in that game that he dropped back to pass the ball, and Luther Gibbs came in and sacked him. Got the ball up off him. He fumbled the ball. Luther scoops the ball up, takes off running down the field. Eli got up off the ground and ran Luther down and took the ball back and started back the other way. All in one play. The craziest thing I ever seen. Now, I mean, this boy was playing with all heart. All heart. And to make a long story short, we lost that game 12-6. And as the Tar Heels, they were taking a knee, running the clock out. Eli started walking to the sideline, and now everybody else was getting ready to line up and shake hands. And that little dude, he had his head down a little bit. And he looked up. And he looked up and looked at me, eye to eye. He looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry, Coach." And he started crying. I'm a grown-ass man, you know what I'm saying? And when he did that, I lost it as well. And I grabbed that. We talked about this not too long ago, but I grabbed him by the face mask, put my arm over his shoulder, and I got right in that ear hole on his helmet. And we walked down the sideline away from everything that was going on. And I was just telling him, man, I was like, man, there's nothing wrong with crying. I said, there's nothing wrong with crying. I said, it's a sign you wanted it. I said, but every time that you put on your equipment from this day on, every time that you put on your equipment, you're fighting to not ever feel like this again. In the middle of a board meeting, they decided that they were going to add another bandit team. And the idea was dropped on them. I think it was either Lynn Hackley or Greg. They were like, man, well, shoot, why don't y'all just give the bandit team a Chuck? Like, you know what? I said, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea, but I said, let me think about it for a little bit. Let me think about it. And I hung up the phone. And all I did was I called Eli. I called Eli. And you think about that. I, the coach, called a 7-year-old boy to more or less get his permission to move up, because I didn't want to stop coaching him. I didn't want to stop coaching him. He kind of laughed a little bit. I think Tony laughed a little bit, because I told Tony first what the deal was. And he was like, he kind of chuckled. He said, hold on, Eli, come here, telephone. You know how Tony talk. He was like, I told him what was up. And I said, man, they trying to give me a bandit team. And it's there if I want it. But I wanted to holler at you. See if you cool with it, man. You think that's a good idea? You think I should do it? And I can almost quote what he said. He was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. He said, we'll get back up together again. We'll do it again. You go up there and wait for me. That's kind of what he said.
When I first heard about Eli Marks, it was from Chuck Dorsey, who had coached him previous, I think, in like the Mighty Mites of Mid Division in youth football. And I had got with Chuck to coach Bandits, which is the oldest division in football. And we was in the draft room, and Chuck Dorsey goes to me, he's like, hey Dink, we gotta pick this Marks kid up. And I'm telling Chuck, like, Chuck, I don't know the Marks kid. I don't even remember seeing him in evaluations. We're not spending no first round pick on a kid that I don't even know who he is. Chuck gives me a story about how when he coached Eli and he was just like, had this fire in his eyes, man, and he wanted to win, and it's about a game that they had that they lost, and Eli thought it was his fault. He said, man, hit that fire, man, hit that fire. If you guys know Chuck, that's Chuck's word there. Man, had that fire in his eyes. I'm like, okay, Chuck. He said everybody got that fire in the eyes. And then, but I went with Chuck, and we picked Eli, first pick. That's probably the first thing that I ever followed or went with Chuck when he said something about football. And that was probably his best decision. Deacon days. this one first. Me coaching up Eli on the sideline, and back then, you know, if you can see where Eli has his arms on his shirt, like here, that was Eli's little crybaby move right there when he was younger. He was always hold his shirt and cry and throw his head like this. And I'd be like, damn it, you hear what the hell I'm saying, don't you? He's like, yeah, yeah. And then of course, like always, he just responds. And that's just an extension of the picture of him like almost trying to pull away from me. I probably like pulled him back a little bit closer. Right there, same thing. Probably an extension from this picture here. This is Eli doing the same thing that you probably, back then, you see him doing on Friday night. Just repping at number 7. 74-60 game. Oh, I guess that went down in like CFA history of like one of the highest scoring games in CFA history. But also in that game, I mean, Eli had like, I don't know how many tackles. If people remember, like KJ was a big boy. Eli was, I think he probably like broke KJ shins up that night. KJ probably had to ice them for about a week.
There was a time in that game. It was, you know, they say it wasn't a defensive game, and you listen to the score like that, you would think, oh, that's crazy. You know, there's no way in the world. But it was defensive moments in that game. And BJ, who was coaching the Tar Heels, had KJ, Kenyon Smith's son. Big guy. This dude was like 6'2", 240 pounds, 250 pounds. Big boy. And B had several big kids on the line. He was bigger than the average middle school, probably JV team. He was big that year. And he had speed. But we had heart. I think we were in the slaughter rule for about a minute. I think they made a mistake. They kicked it deep, and I think Malik. I think it was Malik. He picked it up and ran it back on him, and that was the beginning of a hell of a football game, because we got stops, we made plays. We got stops, we made plays. We were right back in the game. They ran the tight end around, and I'm looking at the play right now. KJ, it is exactly what it said. The play, the momentum was going to the right, and KJ takes a handoff and goes to the left. Eli peeped it out, and as KJ was trying to turn upfield, Eli comes across the side of the field, and I mean, he ain't laid the wood on him or nothing, but he was again fearless. So he made a heck of a play. Whereas there was some guys on that team that were timid. They were timid.
Yeah. I think he really surprised people because, you know, it's. I mean, as you know, I'll just tell it like it is or whatever. For being a white kid, people did not expect for him to do the things he did. Like I remember a 707 who was down at JM, and Eli went up on what's it, basketball kid named Bowley. Eli went up and caught a pass over top of his head, and all you can hear all the JM kids saying like, "Man, you let that white boy do that to you?" And all Bowley was like, "Shit, he got up." And so I think he gained respect, and I know it's, you know, maybe a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but he gained respect from like the superior, like black athletes. He gained that respect like every day, in every game.
And what about what he was able to do last year?
Amazing. I mean, leading in, you know, all-state player, that was no question in the voting. He was in there voting for that. And like, some people don't even know that he was almost defensive player of the year also. So he would have been offensive player of the year last year and defensive player of the year last year. And he got voted out by a kid from JM that was pretty, you know, he was a good athlete also, because like a lot of people didn't even know that having played us that he even played defense. But he led us in tackles on defense also, and like I mean, he had big numbers on both sides of the ball. 2015 first team all-conference wide receiver and linebacker. 2015 conference offensive player of the year. 2015 Fredericksburg all-area. 2015 first team all-region wide receiver. 2015 first team all-state wide receiver. 144 tackles, receiving 64 for 976 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's pretty damn good. And he got lucky and got 2 interceptions.
He's a playmaker. He does whatever it takes to make tackles and win games.
Yeah, Eli is just one of those guys that it was just, he could do it all. If we had an MVP, he got the most valuable player. We could have gave him special teams, we could have gave him defense, we could have gave him anything because he was just that guy. Even at the all-conference meetings, he was just one of those kids that always... It was hard not to vote his name for everything that he played because he did it all.
Yeah, I mean, I coach JV, and all kids say, I think it was one day he was on the field working out, and some of the JV kids, they were like, "Is that Eli?" I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" And they're, but they see Eli and they're like, "Is that really Eli?" Yeah, that's Eli. For me, it's like, yeah, he's Eli, but I think for some younger kids, he's like Eli.
All the time. Now the season's gone by. Now the season will go by. I refer to him all the time. And it's easier to do it now because some of the kids that are coming up now, 11 and 13, they've heard of him. They heard of him. They heard, he's a legend. He's a legend around here. So they've heard the name.
I use Eli all the time as example as a coach. I think he was a big part of the program growing the way it has up to this point. He's been a kid that's a lot of other kids model after him. They want to wear number 7. And before that didn't mean anything. It was just a number. Now it means something.
Why did you get number 7?
I couldn't let no bum get it.
Who's your favorite football player?
Eli.
I think it when Eli, I think it was Fluvana. Eli broke out. Down the field, Eli goes. If you know Eli also, you know Eli's not the fastest white kid. Alright? So Eli's running down the field. Eli dives into the end zone from 3 or 4 yards out. The ref throws the flag. This is on varsity now. The ref throws the flag. Unsportsmanlike conduct, and I yell to the ref, "He's slow as hell. He is white, He almost got walked down last week in a game." And that had to be the funny moment because Eli looked at me like, "Damn, what the fuck?"
Best memory of Eli. There's a couple. One of them's got to be where he dove into the end zone in Fluvana, and he got a flag because, he dove, but I remember Coach Dinkins saying, "Oh, he's just slow. But I think that was probably one that stuck out the most, yeah.
Because he likes to try and be, the ref of the game and scream at the ref as much as he can. He's probably one of the funniest players I've ever seen.
What's your best memory with him on the field?
Kettle run on the goal line. It was on the goal line stop, the guy scored. And me and Eli both looked at it and I pushed it out and he grabbed the ball, took off with it, and the ref didn't know where it was. And they gave us the no touchdown, gave us the ball back.
Last year when he cried, I know it's not a great memory, but it just shows you that he threw everything on the field and he left it there. The player that reminds me of Eli will probably be the Gronk. The reason being is Eli's slow as fuck, but he seems to always be open. And if y'all know the Eli that I know, he's probably the worst fucking dancer ever. He cannot dance.
What are you gonna miss about coaching it?
Well, I think I'll miss this Eli as a whole. because no matter what you go through with Eli, you always, it's like we had a connection. And sometimes, I can't even talk, man. I can't do this. I hate Stephanie right now. Sometimes you got a connection with a kid that, you know, you don't have to like yell or say what you need them to do, and they can just look at you and you be like, yeah, I got you. And that was like sometimes with Eli.
I just joking around with him. I don't know. I just always felt like he had my back on there. I wouldn't make tackle. I always knew he would.
I guess Eli's a well-rounded person. It didn't really matter. I mean, I guess, you know, I was around him for all these years anyway. Glasses. All these years anyway, it didn't really matter because we always had like a relationship. And like, I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him.
Any advice for college?
Advice for college. This slow. Don't go 100 miles an hour from the first day. Just go slow. You got 4 years. You got 4 years. So the first year, just take your time. Take your time.
Keep doing what you've been doing, but a little bit more. It sounds impossible, I know, but you'll find a way to do a little bit more. That's what it takes. It took a little bit more to be effective at the bandit level. It took a little bit more to be effective at middle school. It took a little bit more at JV. It took a little bit more at varsity. It's gonna take a little bit more at college, y'all. And that's nothing for you, man. You can handle that. You can handle that.
You're gonna be missed, man. You are gonna be missed. You're one guy that I look at that we can't replace that kid. And I just can't wait to see you play at the next level. I just thank you for all your hard work, and anything you need, you know, keep in touch. You know, let me know how things are going. I'll follow you, but I can't wait to see what you do at the next level. The edge. He had an edge when he played here. He played like every game, every play was his last. That would be my recommendation going forward. I think he's got a tremendous upside, but he has to maintain that edge at the next level.
Don't do stupid stuff. And you know what I'm talking about. Looking deep into the camera on that one.
Keep your bed clean, have fresh drawers, and stay with a box of condoms.
He gonna ball out. He gonna start his freshman year. Put money on him.
Gas, I got the matches. We gonna turn this town to ashes, 'cause they ain't never seen nothing like us. I ain't heard loud till we turn it up. I got the wild, you got the crazy. You know that's why I love you, baby, 'cause your motor runs just as fast as mine. Pedal to the metal, keep the throttle down all night. And we only get one life. Ain't scared to ride this train. Make a few marks, leave a few stains. Might slam just a little too hard. Might take it just a little too far. Might burn out like a firework, like a shooting star across the sky. Yeah, we may not be around in 20 years, but they're sure gonna know we were here. Yeah, they're sure gonna know we were here. People talk, girl, you know damn well, but when they got a good tale to tell, let's give them something they ain't never seen. A little rated R redneck dream. Let's blaze a trail through the dirty South. Give them something they can talk about. A little story that they won't forget long after we ride off into the sunset, baby, 'cause we ain't dead yet, baby. Ain't scared to ride this train. Make a few marks, leave a few stains. They're sure gonna know we were here. We only get one chance around this runaway roller coaster train, and it ain't slowing down. So baby, they're gonna remember our name. Ain't scared to ride this train, make a few marks, leave a few stains. Might slam just a little too hard, might take it just a little too far, might burn out like a firework, like a shooting star across the sky. Yeah, we may not be around in 20 years. No, we may not be around in 20 years. They're sure gonna know